Hey guys, Miss Osuna here, and we are going to do a video on croquis layout. So you want to basically have several different croquis on a page, and you want to have a dynamic layout so that you can call attention to specific garments. So some croquis need to be bigger, some need to be smaller. So here we're going to draw a croquis that is smaller than our typical 1-inch headspace, and everything else is the same. So set up your paper and literally oval, straight line, and do your measurements. But this is just the main difference being it's not a 1-inch headspace, it's a little bit less. So this is about 3/4 of an inch for the headspace, and you will be able to also do this the opposite way and make a bigger croquis with a 2-inch headspace. Alright, so you're just going to follow along as I draw this croquis in our normal way. Drag your lines out, put your numbers, put your spaces in place. Everything is the same, it is just smaller. And once again, the reason is because you want to have croquis that are different sizes so you can call attention to different garments. Alright, for the shoulder this time, the shoulder guideline is higher on the left, lower on the right. You're to always start at the center line when you're dragging left and then right. So always go back to the center line and drag. And then of course our shoulder space is 1.5 heads. So you can take your paper, rip it off, measure from 1 to 1.5. And we know 1.5 is the actual shoulder position. And we also know the shoulders are 1.5 heads wide. So I am just folding the paper here so I can see where the center is, which would be 3/4 of our headspace on the left and 3/4 of our headspace on the right. So going ahead and follow along. This is not new to you. I just wanted to point out everything is exactly the same. It is just smaller. All right, so we're doing our typical S curve. So above the waist, the accent is on the left. Below the waist, it's the opposite. The accent is going to be on the right. So your guideline for the crotch is at 4.25. Make sure you start from the beginning and drag left and right. So your waist and your crotch guidelines go in the same direction. They are totally parallel. And your waist is 1 headspace approximately. And then your crotch, which is the hip area, that is 1.5 headspaces. All right, so for this pose, we are exaggerating and we are gonna have the bottom, so our waist down is facing the left side of our paper, and then the waist up is gonna be facing the right side. So she's dramatically twisting her body. But again, that is what you want when you're doing a dynamic layout. All right, so the key here is that your left leg is going to be aiming to the left. Like we said, the waist down is facing left side of our paper, and our knee is going in the same direction as our crotch. So if you want to draw that in, go on ahead and do that. So that means the left side of our paper, the knee is a little tiny bit lower. So now we're going to the upper body, and remember we said it is going to be facing the right side of our paper. Your bust guideline is at 2 1/4, and we have a little bit of a profile on the right side of our page because remember we're twisting and we're doing opposites. So her upper body is twisting facing the right, her lower body is twisted facing the left side of our paper. Then you redraw in the head, making sure that you bring it down lower than the original head space. And we finish off with our remaining details for the arms and hands. So for the arms, remember shoulder to elbow is 1 1/2 to 3. So just grab a piece of paper and measure it, rip it off if you need to. And then your elbow to wrist is 3 to 4 1/4. So we're drawing the arm folded, and it's really important for you to go back and remeasure so that you know where to put the elbow socket. And now we are moving on after we flesh that out, and we want to measure from elbow to our wrist, which on our center line is 3 to 4 1/4. So you can rip off a piece of paper and measure and put in your wrist socket. Once you flesh out the lower portion of your arm from elbow to wrist, it's time for the hand. And the top of our hand, we have our 2 diagonal lines with our M or W shapes. The thumb is on the right side of our paper. And now we have our fingers in 2 segments. Remember, 2 line segments is necessary for your fingers. And then you're going to flesh it out on the bottom with the J shape. Now I'm going to just add to the right side of our finger just a little bit, and then the left side is going to be the fingertip side. So the right side is straight, and then the left side gets to be curved for the fingertip. So that is our index finger done, middle finger done. Now we are doing the ring finger. And then our pinky, in this case, I'm going to add to the right side and just barely curve a little bit because it's just a little bit of room left. Then I'll erase and clean it up a little. All right, up next is going to be arm number 2. So for arm number 2, we are going to draw in our lower portion from elbow to our wrist. And then it's going to be time for us to move on. If you need to measure, remember that is 3 to 4 1/4. And the elbow is right at the waist, just barely bent. That tells you where to put the wrist socket. Now for our hand, we are going to have our frown at the top of the wrist socket, and then remember to add your thumb on the left side this time, your M or W shapes for the knuckles, and once again 2 line segments for your fingers. And you can see on the right side, I just had to add a little bit more space for the pinky. All right, now here on the left side is going to be the curved finger pad side. So our finger pads or fingertips are curved, and now they're on the left side. And I'm just going to erase a little bit so you can see that. Now we're going to finish up the face just a little bit so that we can make sure you see we lowered the bottom portion of our face by 1/4 of an inch or 1/4 of a head space. So you just redraw on top of that original oval a little tiny bit lower than the original, so about 1/4. And we're just adding in some of these details for the collarbone and the neck, and then we're going to do our face. So at the middle, you have your guideline. That is going to be your eye. Then you're going to pop in your nose and your mouth and pull out your chin details. Add a little bit of eyelash. Your side profile eye looks a little bit like a triangle. And then don't forget to add in your brow. Now it's time for the ear, And once we have that in place, then of course you can go and fill in your hair and all the extra earring and whatever you're adding to it. Okay, so we finished the first one in our layout, making it smaller. Now we are going to put a croquis that is larger right next to it. So just go on ahead, draw the same way. Find a croquis that's larger, but this time she's facing the left, so they're facing each other. So that is your goal, to be able to have a dynamic layout. You want to pick which one is looking in which direction, so you can cause the viewer to look in the direction that you want them to look in and to focus on the garments that you want them to focus on. So as I'm really lightly transferring the smaller croquis, and I'm transferring it exactly where I wanted it to be, I am also keeping in mind to be very, very light with the pressure. And I might even need to go back in with the eraser and take some of the lead away, because the lead will show up underneath your markers and it'll get muddy. So just remember to be really light with your pencil, or just rub it right on with the tracing paper. That's the safest method. But sometimes you will want to draw right on top of it, just like I'm doing here. So just be really, really careful. Okay, so I'm gonna continue transferring and let some music play. And that is it for this tutorial with our dynamic croquis layout. The very next thing is just taking away some of that lead even more, so that you can barely see what you need to do, because the lighter it is, the better your end results will be. All right, until I see you next time, happy sketching.